Red Dead Online has been out for nearly 6 years now, and while this game is a bigger waste of potential than basically anything that has wasted potential, it has provided me, along with many others, with several unforgettable memories. And during my time covering this game and its features, I've come across countless player types who each stand out in their own unique ways. While some of these are pretty common, like the grinder, the cheater, and the PvP gunslinger, others aren't so easily found, and they confine themselves to specific activities or only show up at certain times of the year. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the most unique player types found in Red Dead Online, and who knows, you might even find a description that fits your own playstyle. So without further ado, let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got the single rarest player type in all of Red Dead Online, the Newcomer. I'm actually joking here, because new players in Red Dead Online are actually incredibly common, and when we do come across these players, they are immediately recognizable by their low-level outfits and extremely basic weapon loadout that usually consists of a cattleman revolver and carbine repeater. Occasionally, they might have a bow active for hunting, but they don't really have the levels or the cash to acquire the expensive arrow pamphlets. Newbies also don't necessarily have to be low level. Sometimes they can also be players who just don't pay much attention to the mechanics and just log in to goof around with friends. These guys don't care about the monthly events, the camp upgrades, the weapons, or the ability cards, or even horses. They may not even do the daily challenges. They just want to log in, shoot some guys in free roam, and log off after an hour or two. On the other end of the spectrum, you've also got the newbies who are absolutely clueless about how to make money or the best combat techniques, but they're eager to learn and get better. I like these guys a lot because they remind me of myself when I was just getting started in Red Dead Online. If any of you newbies out there are watching this, don't give up on this game just yet. It honestly only gets better from here on out, and there's still plenty of cool things to unlock, even though Rockstar hasn't really released any major updates in 3 years now. At number 2, there's the infamous Lone Wolf. This is the type of player who rolls into town all by himself, isn't looking to start any trouble, but they are more than capable of finishing a fight if they ever get into one. Usually, these types of players are more mature, in their 20s or even 30s, and their solo grind has given them esoteric knowledge on lots of items and mechanics that border on the uncanny. If you ever come across one of these guys and invite them into a posse, they probably won't accept because they personally like to cosplay as a Clint Eastwood lone gunman type and feel that being in a team with randoms will only slow them down. Next up is the type I call the tree hugger. These fellas are part of an extremely small subset that believes the naturalist is the greatest role ever and spend most of their time parked inside of a bush, peeking at wild animals through their binoculars. Nature appreciators in this game are some of the most chill guys you'll come across, and they also have a fondness for the trader role as it allows them to roleplay as wildlife management staff. They also hunt ethically and prefer to use a bow instead of rifles. Sometimes the tree hugger will also log in just to stare at the night sky and feel the cool breeze of the grizzly mountain air. He considers himself one with nature and never uses fast travel because he would rather spend the extra time enjoying the natural beauty of Red Dead Online's world. Number 4 is one of the player types in Red Dead Online that I probably identify with most, the obsessive min-maxer. This kind of player can't stop himself from using the latest, most efficient meta strategies to extract the most amount of money, gold, and XP in the shortest and most optimal time possible. He's reduced the entire game down to one giant math quiz and only thinks in terms of numbers and time as well as risk to profit ratios. When it comes down to it, I love the open world, but I extremely love the gold and money earning in this game. Related to the min-maxer here, but far more charismatic and unpredictable, we've got the Tahiti man. This is the kind of player who has unlocked everything in this game, has hundreds of gold bars lying around, and has spent copious amounts of cash on the fanciest saddles, weapon mods, outfits, and more. But despite all this, he just can't bring himself to terms with the fact that Rockstar won't release any major items. When the Tahiti man started his grind, he was doing it in the hopes of buying a property one day, or a luxurious riverboat in which he could host his own casino or bar. But the hopes have long since died with the rest of Red Dead Online. Now, it's just a matter of compulsive behavior. The Tahiti man just needs one more heist, one final sell mission, and then he'll quit. He actually won't. But Dutch himself would be proud of this type of player. Alright, at number 6 we've got one of my personal favorites, 19th century Jesus. This is the ultimate nice guy of Red Dead Online here. Someone who has sworn off all violence and lives only to help others. He will ride alongside you and protect your trader wagon. He will clear out that bandit hideout with you and also give you a free 3-star animal carcass, or maybe even a legendary. He'll also invite low-level players to his posse for trader deliveries so they too can share the reward. Mr. Nice Guy always tips the hat and is extremely extremely friendly in chat, and he has never said a mean word in his entire online life and will motivate you to keep grinding by using the applause emote whenever you complete a quest or daily challenge. The Hellspawn, on the other hand, is the opposite of 19th century Jesus. This player exists only to make the lives of others miserable here. This is the type of guy who will blow up your trader wagon with a dynamite arrow and teabag your freshly deceased and charred corpse, believing it to be the epitome of humor. The Hellspawn has never done more than an honest day of work in his life and can't go more than a minute without screaming into the microphone some of the most vile phrases you've ever heard over voice chat. He communicates almost exclusively in Zoomer slang and is probably 12 years old. It doesn't really matter if he killed a Hellspawn after he set fire to your moonshine because he's already accomplished what he came for. Those griefers might also travel in a posse and bully low-level players as well to feel better about their own lack of skill, but the first time they come across a competent posse, you'll find them scurrying away into the jungle, tails tucked between their legs, and ultimately leaving the session. The Hacker is more of an advanced version of the Hellspawn and relies on Rockstar's incompetence to ruin your own day. They use mod menus, exploits, and cheap programs like an alcoholic uses whiskey, and hackers think of themselves as the supervisors of your lobby and treat other players like pawns on their chessboard. They can teleport you around the map, lock you up in a cage, blow up your character, turn your entire posse into harmless animals, and boot you from the server as well. Don't think these guys are exclusive to PC either, because cheaters also exist on console as well, albeit in a different form. I've seen plenty of people talking about how many times they've encountered cheaters in their Xbox or PlayStation lobbies. Console cheaters aren't necessarily using specialized software because, of course, it's much harder to bypass the built-in safety and security measures on a console OS, but they do abuse certain exploits that Rockstar themselves haven't fixed for several years. These glitches allow you to enter God mode or make yourself disappear from the radar, and since Red Dead Online uses peer-to-peer connection and networking, even console players can find your IP, location, as well as internet provider as long as their console is hooked up to the same local network as their PC. DDoS attacks are easy to execute with little technical know-how, and they can knock out your internet for hours, which is why I recommend using a VPN whenever possible. It's not a safety guarantee, but it will protect you from the low-level trolls and griefers who mean to do you harm. At number 9, we've got the Brokie. This type of player is only one step removed from the newbie and just doesn't really care about money or gold, and they also don't have the time to grind it out. Brokies never truly commit to any role, and they've probably never heard of daily challenges or bonus events. These guys are also characterized by their extreme mismanagement of money because they'll spend their starter cash on all sorts of frivolous purchases that don't contribute to future earnings. You know, stuff like clothing, saddles, weapon engravings, expensive horses, wagon liveries, and the most useless camp upgrades possible, like themes and flags. Brokies know they're bad with money, but they don't care because they're all about the aesthetic and they don't like grinding in video games. You know what? I'm totally cool with that, as long as you know what you're doing. Red Dead Online is a massive game with many different playstyles, and you're free to enjoy it any way you want. But with that in mind, just don't complain that you've got no money for your ability cards, weapons, when you blew it all on pocket watches and bandoliers. And for the love of God, please don't buy that lock breaker. It's pointless. Finally, at number 10, we've got the Role Player. This is the most creative player, I think, in Red Dead Online, constantly coming up with new, innovative scenarios to create a world full of exciting stories and characters. These guys make their own fun and game up new stories in the group Discord server. They do the kind of stuff that Rockstar devs could only dream of, and they have comprehensive knowledge of every single content type and game mode in Red Dead Online because they've played and experienced pretty much everything that the game has to offer. Role players also have loads of money and don't grief unless as part of the roleplay. Overall, I'd say they're generally chill guys and lots of fun to hang out with, especially if you want to be a part of a posse that does new and exciting stuff on the regular. And there you have it, my top 10 unique player types still found in Red Dead Online in 2024. Which category do you fit into? Let me know in those comments. What I love most about this game is the sheer variety of player types that you can run into at any given time. I mean, sure, this is an online game, so you obviously have lots of griefers and assholes, but the Wild West setting of Red Dead also attracts some really chill folks. A nice example of this archetype is someone who just logs into the game daily just to appreciate the beautiful scenery and pet his brand new Black Arabian that he purchased after a whole week of grinding. You know, the kind of guy who wouldn't harm a fly and just wants to craft stuff in the game. As much as I love the PvP gunplay in Red Dead Online, the atmosphere and the visuals just transport you to a totally different time and place in a way that no other game can replicate. But that's all I have for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more of this type of content. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios, amigos.